Punk Zines, 1970s to 1990s. This documentary will explore the roots of punk zines, tracing their history from the beatniks and their poetry in the 1950s to the hippies and the underground newspapers of the 1960s, and all the way to punk rockers in the 1970s and beyond. Who created a wide variety of zines, all the way from little homemade, short-run, Xeroxed fanzines, all the way up to high-circulation newsprint type of fanzines with lots of content. And eventually they made some glossy magazines as well. I'll look at how these zines served as a platform for expression and how they were used to spread ideas and create community. We will explore how punk zines were an important part of the punk scene and their impact on culture. Punk zines continue to be a source of inspiration, creativity, and rebellion today. A punk zine is a zine related to the punk subculture and hardcore punk music genre. Often primitively or casually produced, they feature punk literature such as social commentary, punk poetry, news, gossip, music reviews, and articles about punk rock bands or regional punk scenes. Starting in the 1970s, the DIY aesthetic of the punk subculture created a thriving underground press. Amateur magazines related to punk were inspired by the rock fanzines of the early 70s, which were inspired by zines from the science fiction fan community. Perhaps the most influential of the fanzines to cross over from science fiction fandom to rock and later punk, rock, and new wave music was Greg Shaw's Who Put the Bomp, founded in 1970. One of the earliest punk zines was simply called Punk, founded in New York City by John Holmstrom, Geg Dunn, and Legs McNeil. Debuting in January of 1976, the zine championed the early New York underground punk scene and helped associate the word punk with these bands, most notably the Ramones. Other early punk zines from the United States included Search and Destroy, later Research, Flipside, Slash, and Damage. An early United Kingdom punk zine was Sniffin' Glue, produced by Mark Perry, who also founded the band Alternative TV in 1976. Perry produced the first photocopied issue of Sniffing Glue in London after attending the Ramones concert on the 4th of July, 1976 at the Roundhouse. Punk zines were produced in many European countries in subsequent years. The first Irish one was published in March of 1977. In Australia in 1977, inspired by the Saints and Radio Birdman, Bruce Milne and Clinton Walker fused their respective first zines, Plastered Press and Suicide Alley, to launch Pulp. Milne later went on to invent the cassette zine with Fast Forward in 1980. Why am I interested in 80s punk fanzines? It's because I've been collecting this stuff for a long time, for many years, and I've been looking at it recently, and I find it to be really fascinating and full of little tidbits of information and knowledge you just can't get anywhere else. The one punk fanzine that I know of that clearly connects the beats to the hippies to the punks is Search and Destroy, published in 1977 to 1979 by V. Vale, who was working at City Lights Books in San Francisco, just 3 blocks away from the Mabuhay Gardens, where the early punk scene was forming. Search and Destroy was initially financed by beat poets Allen Ginsberg and Lawrence Ferlinghetti. Vale would interview bands at the MAB and compose and lay out at City Lights Books. The politically charged Maximum Rock and Roll and the anarchist Profane Existence were notable punk fanzines that were founded in the 1980s. By that time, most local punk scenes had at least one zine. Then there came along Fact Sheet 5, which chronicled thousands of underground publications and zines in the 80s and 90s. I love finding similarities and connections between these underground movements from the 1950s to the 1980s. Beatniks, the hippies, and the punks. Beats to the hippies, to the punks. Beats to the punks. Thanks for watching. I'll be posting more as I go through these wonderful zines.